I know there are some strange beliefs about my people. I am familiar with the legend of Asari promiscuity, but those rumors have little basis in fact.
The first race to reach the Citadel, the Asari are the first council race and one of the most important races in the galaxy. The Asari, native to the planet Thessia, are often considered the most influential and respected sentient species in the galaxy and are known for their elegance, diplomacy, and biotic aptitude. The Asari are the earliest race to achieve interstellar travel after the Protheans, though compared to the other species, the Asari did have an advantage that other races of the galaxy did not have. The Asari are a monogender race. The Asari do appear to be feminine in appearance and possess maternal instincts. Their unique physiology, expressed in a millennium-long lifespan and the ability to reproduce with a partner of any gender or species, gives them a conservative but friendly attitude to other races. Favouring compromise and cooperation over conflict, the Asari were instrumental in proposing and founding the Citadel Council and have been at the heart of the galactic society ever since. The Asari are expert diplomats and are often used as mediators for conflicts throughout the galaxy. Asari do resemble humans in terms of basic skeletal structure, with 5 digits on each hand and feet that are relatively straight. Certainly in comparison to species like Quarians and Turians, this similarity allows Asari to wear human armour. A typical Asari has a blue to purple complexion, though other colours are possible but rare. Some Asari do have facial markings, which are unique coloured patterns that vary for every Asari. Some of these facial markings resemble eyebrows that humans might have, but the Asari do not think of the markings as such themselves. In place of head hair, the Asari possess semi-flexible, cartilage-based scalp crests that grow into shape. These structures are rigid and do not flop around, as some believe. Asari have navels as well as breasts that continue to grow with age. Asari also have a robust cellular regenerative system. While they do not heal faster than other species, they are known to reach over 1,000 years of age. This long lifespan is only rivaled by the Krogan. The Asari have been known to see ultraviolet at a short wavelength at the end of the spectrum. There is some conflicting information regarding the gender of the Asari. Asari are a monogendered species with no concept of gender differences. Asari are often viewed as an all-female race. To humans at least, Asari appear female with feminine physical characteristics and voices. Even among the Asari, many individuals refer to themselves as she and her, but some Asari do prefer male pronouns, while others gravitate towards gender-neutral where language allows. Asari also bear feminine titles like Huntress and Matriarch, and Asari offspring are referred to as daughters, though the Asari may have chosen feminine pronouns to simplify language translation. There is also a possibility the translation issue is relating the native Asari speech to a human ear. However Asari gender is defined, they are innately different from humans, for Asari can mate and successively reproduce with any gender or species through a form of parthenogenesis. Although they have one gender, they are not asexual and do in fact require a partner to reproduce. Though Asari reproduction is very different from other forms of sexual reproduction, an Asari provides 2 copies of her own genes to her offspring, one of which is passed on and altered. The second set of genes is altered in a unique process called melding, also known as the joining or the union. During melding, the eyes of the Asari initiating the meld dilate as she consciously attunes her nervous system to her partner's, sending and receiving electrical impulses directly through the skin. However, physical contact is not strictly necessary. A common phrase used during melding is to embrace eternity, presumably to help focus the partner's mind. Effectively, Asari and her partner briefly become one unified nervous system, sharing memories, thoughts and feelings. The offspring is always an Asari regardless of the species or sex of the father, and in the case that the offspring is of 2 Asari, the father is the one who does not give birth. Uniquely, the Asari are known to be perceived as attractive to other species. This may be because of shared physical characteristics, body shape for humans, colour for Solarians, and the head fringe for Turians. The offspring resulting from such interspecies partners are always Asari, as no DNA is taken from the partner. Instead, the Asari use the meld to explore her partner's genetic history and pass on desirable traits onto her offspring, and as a map to randomise the genes of the offspring. Additionally, pairings with Krogan are not affected by the genophage. As such, pairings of Asari are sometimes seen as a way for a Krogan to circumvent the genophage and have children of their own. There is some debate as to the appearance of Asari, as other races do state that they appear differently to each other. One of the drawbacks that do occur with the Asari means of reproduction are known as the Ardart Yakshi. These individuals possess a rare genetic defect that causes an Asari to overwhelm and destroy her partner's nervous system when joining. The condition seems to appear only amongst pure blood Asari. These are now quite rare due to most Asari preferring non-Asari partners. It is possible for an Asari to meld or another for the sole purpose of transferring thoughts throughout reproduction. The Asari initiating the meld can then both send out and receive information. Asari pass through 3 life stages marked by both biochemical and physiological changes. The first stage is the maiden stage, which begins at puberty and is marked by a drive to explore and experience. Most young Asari are curious and relentless, and it is not uncommon for many to try their hand at dancing in bars or working as mercenaries during this phase. The second stage is the matron stage, which begins around the age of 350, though it can also be triggered earlier if the individual melds frequently. This period is marked by a desire to settle in one area and raise children. The final phase is the matriarch stage, which begins approximately 700 years of age, though this can occur earlier if the individual melds rarely. Matriarchs become active in their community as sages and counselors, dispensing wisdom from centuries of experience. Their knowledge and guidance may be one reason why matriarchs are rarely seen outside of Asari space. However, it should be noted that each stage can be started wherever an Asari feels she has reached the correct level of maturity. While each stage of life is marked by strong biological tendencies, individuals do make unexpected life choices. For example, there are maidens who may stay close to home rather than explore, matrons who would rather work than build family, and matriarchs who have no interest in community affairs.
I'm the boss, CEO, queen, if you're feeling dramatic. It doesn't matter. Omega has no titled ruler and only one ruler. Don't fuck with Arya.
The Asari developed on Thessia, a rich world of abundant quantities of element zero, caused much of the life on Thessia to exhibit biotic tendencies. Instrumental to the rise of the Asari civilization, upon discovering the Asari, the Protheans crafted the guise of a femme, a benevolent goddess who imparted gifts of wisdom to the Asari through her guides, Genera and Lucen, a deception that allowed the Protheans to rapidly accelerate Asari development. The Protheans also genetically altered the Asari to grant them biotic capabilities and defended Thessia from asteroid strikes and resource-hungry rivals. It is possible that the Protheans wished to develop the Asari into a client race when their development was at a sufficient level. When the Protheans departed, they left a single beacon on Thessia, around which the Asari later built a lavish temple devoted to a femme. This beacon contained Vendetta, a Prothean VI, and over the following centuries was a source of countless technological advances that allowed the Asari to eventually become the most powerful race in the galaxy. The beacon's existence became a closely held state secret, as its revelation would have discredited the virtually universal belief that the Asari attained such heights on their own. By the modern era, few outside the echelons of the Asari government were aware of the part the Protheans played in Asari history. The Asari were the first contemporary race to achieve spaceflight and discover the mass relay network. When they first discovered the Citadel, the Asari also encountered the Keepers, whose mute assistance enabled them to quickly settle on the station and learn how to operate its systems. 60 years after this, the Solarians made their first contact with the Asari, and together the two species agreed to found the Citadel Council in 500 BCE, a galactic governing body that would come to unite dozens of races. In later years, the Asari continued to explore the galaxy and welcomed several other races to the burgeoning galactic community. Because of their long lifespan, Asari tend to have a long view not common in other races. When they encounter a new species or situation, the Asari are more comfortable with an extended period of passive observation and study rather than immediate action. They are unfazed that some of their investments or decisions may not pay off for decades or centuries. Matriarchs can seem to make incomprehensible decisions, but their insight is evident when their carefully laid plans come to fruition. In interstellar relations, this long view manifests in the unspoken policy of centrism. The Asari instinctively look to maintain stable balances of economic, political, and military power. Traditionally, Asari spread their influence through cultural domination and intellectual superiority. They invite new species of advanced development to join the galactic community, knowing their ideals and beliefs will inevitably influence the existing culture. The Asari tend towards communal consensus attitudes among themselves too. For example, they prefer to live in shared spaces aboard starships, even if there are alternatives available. Asari believe that their offspring will acquire the best qualities of the father from the melded genes, but the evidence is anecdotal. They frown upon interspecies conception, since genetic traits and cultural insights gained from mating outside the species, so it's considered wasteful for Asari to produce together. The results of such unions are occasionally referred to as purebloods, a great insult among contemporary Asari. A rare genetic defect known as Ardakyakshi, which makes Asari destroy the partner's minds during melding, occurs much more frequently among daughters of purebloods, though these traits have become more rare in the modern era. The Asari are well aware they tend to be attractive and are comfortable expressing their sexuality, and can be witnessed as exotic dancers in places. Young males of other races tend to have a fascination with Asari. Because of their natural sensuality and ability to mate with any species, Asari are sometimes rumoured promiscuous. These rumours are mostly a result of misinformation or wishful thinking. In fact, Asari have to accept that if they mate outside their own species, they will almost inevitably outlive their partner, with the notable exception of the Krogan, who have a similarly immense longevity. Therefore, they've had to apply the philosophical long view to relationships as well, savouring the time they spend with their partners rather than focusing on the inevitable loss. While little is known of Asari relationship customs, the Asari life partner of another Asari is often referred to as a bondmate. There are a few Asari who abandon all but a few personal possessions and become Justicars, members of an ancient order of Asari adhering to a strict code. Justicars operate predominantly inside of Asari space, correcting injustices often through harsh means, including death. After swearing themselves the code of the Justicars, they wander Asari space righting wrongs as defined by their unwavering code of justice. Samara compares the code and duties of the Justicar to that of the knight errant in medieval Christendom or the Japanese samurai. There are very few Asari Justicars due to the high morality rate in training and the fact that their life of Justicar is seldom easy. Given their personal sacrifices, skill and rigid adherence to their code, Justicars are highly revered in Asari culture, and there are many stories and vids of their adventures, although much of that is exaggerated.
I answer to a code that is clearly defined. If my actions are true to that code, I am just. If they are not, I am unjust. I don't pretend it is a simple matter or that it seems right to everyone, but I sleep well at night, and that is more than most can say.
Though all Asari are natural biotics, there are some who choose not to develop their biotic power. Doing so would preclude an Asari from military service, although there is no social stigma attached to the decision. The Asari possess the largest single economy in the galaxy. They have extensive trade and social contacts, craft guilds, such as those within the cities of Ceres and Amali, hold a virtual monopoly on advanced biotic technology. Given their political influence, an embargo by the Asari would prove disastrous to the Alliance. At the core of the largest economy in the galaxy is Thessia. The planet's reserves at Element Zero are so vast they affect its price galaxy-wide. Because life on Thessia evolved in an ESO-rich environment, the world is home to a wealth of both biotically active and ESO-resistant species. Travel to the planet is strictly controlled, but smuggling remains an issue. The pantheistic mainstream Asari language is Shiari, which translates roughly as all is one. The faithful agree on certain core truths. The universe is a consciousness. Every single life within it is an aspect of the greater whole, and death is a merging of one spiritual energy back into a greater universal consciousness. Shiarists don't specifically believe in reincarnation, they believe in spiritual energy returning to universal consciousness upon death will eventually be used to fill new mortal vessels. Shiari became popular after the Asari left their homeworld and discovered their ability to meld with nearly any form of life. This ability is seen as proof that all life is fundamentally similar. Shiara priestesses see their role as promoting unity through disparate shards of the universe's awareness. Before the Shiari pantheism, Asari religions were as diverse as their political opinions. though a common theme was the belief that the gods were separate from the world, looking down on the people from above. The strongest survivor of those days is the monotheistic religion worshipping the god of Fem. Like the Asari, the goddess cycles through the triple aspects of the maiden, matron, and matriarch. Asari often swear by the goddess, though this may be more of a cultural legacy rather than reflecting an individual's belief. The Asari governmental structure, known as the Asari republics, is relatively broad. The Asari came late to the notion of world government. For centuries, the homeworld of Thessia was dotted with loose confederations of great republican cities. The closest Earth equivalent would be the ancient Mediterranean city-states. Since the Asari value consensus and accommodation, there was little incentive to form a larger principality. Rather than hoard resources, the Asari bartered freely. Rather than attack one another over differing philosophies, they sought to understand one another. Only in the information age did the city-states grow close. Communication over the internet evolved into an electronic democracy. Aside from their council representatives, the Asari have no politicians or elections, but a free-willing and all-inclusive legislature that citizens can participate in at will. Policy debates take place at all hours of the day, in official chat rooms and forums moderated by specially governed virtual intelligences. All aspects of policy are open at all time. In any given debate, the Asari tend to lead the most credence to the opinions of any matriarchs present, nearly always deferring to the experience of these millennium-old wise women. In modern times, the Asari act as the diplomatic arm of the Citadel Council, and the Asari exploration efforts have discovered many races over the years. In approximately 200 BCE, the Asari made first contact with the Elcor and played a key role in helping them establish a regular trade route to the Citadel. The Asari military resembles a collection of tribal warrior bands with no national structures. Each community organises its own unit and elects a leader to command them. Units from populous cities are large and well equipped, while those from farm villages may be only a few women with small arms. There is no uniform, everyone wears what they like. The Asari is not an irregular militia, however those who do serve are full-time professionals. The average Asari huntress, another term for Asari commando, is in the maiden stage of her life, and they have devoted 20 to 30 years studying the martial arts. Asari choose to be warriors at a young age, and their education from that point is dedicated to sharpening their mind and body for that sole purpose. Though when they do retire, they still possess an alarming proficiency for killing. Huntresses fight individually or in pairs depending on the tactics preferred in their town. One-on-one, a huntress is a formidable opponent, possessing profound tactical insight, a hunter's eye, and a dancer's grace. Bardics are common enough that some capacity is a requirement to be trained as a huntress. A lack of Bardic talent excludes a young Asari from military service. While fluid and mobile, Asari can't stand up in a firefight the same way a Krogan Turin human could. Since their units are small and typically lack heavy armour and support weapons, they are almost incapable of fighting a conventional war, particularly one of a defensive nature. So Asari units typically undertake special operation missions. Like guerrilla soldiers, they're adept at ambush, infiltration, and assassination, demoralizing and defeating their enemies through intense, focused, stealthy strikes. The Asari huntress were among the first individuals to be chosen as spectres and played a key role in the Krogan rebellions. There is a popular Turian saying, "The Asari are the finest warriors in the galaxy." Fortunately, there are not many of them. Though, despite this saying, the Asari military is still rather large. The Asari possess one of the most powerful navies in the galaxy. The Asari navy has 21 dreadnoughts in 2183 CE, including the Destiny Ascension, a formidable warship boasting almost as much firepower as the rest of the Asari fleet combined, and the flagship of the Citadel fleet. Despite their considerable force their numerous dreadnoughts can bring to bear, the Asari prefer using fleets composed mainly of frigates and fighters, embodying the hit-and-run mindset with a nimble swarm rather than a slower collection of vessels. The Asari continue to be a vital member of the galactic community and will for the foreseeable future. There is no doubt that the council will be needed for the many conflicts that are due to rise in the future of a broken galaxy.
I can understand why I might find Asari attractive, but how can they be attractive to humans too? They look just like Solarians.
What? They look exactly like us. I'm not seeing the Solarian thing at all. At all.
You're both wrong. Asari look just like Bluturians. Look at the head fringe.
Wait, you don't think they're like mind controlling us to see them as attractive, do you?
Please be quiet. You're going to ruin Asari for me. And there aren't many Turian women on Ilium.
Well, I suppose watching just one more dance wouldn't hurt.
That's the spirit.
As long as I'm not paying for the drinks.